Welcome to our podcast. I welcome you to this episode, and it's going to be the quest. The quest. Every quest begins with a question. What am I meant to do? Who do I become? How do I get there? When I don't even know where to get there. My name is Shegun, and this is the quest. The podcast where real academics tell their life stories to light the way for Gen Z. No jargon, no perfect path, just honest revelation from people who dare to keep going. Every week we will bring a new journey. The chaos, the failure, the aha moments. Yes, the aha moments. To show you the becoming is messy but meaningful. Because it is not just about degree, it is about becoming who you meant to be. So grab your backpack, Gen Z. Your quest starts now. Today I will be bringing one of the son of the soil. And should I call him Gen Z or what? Don't worry, you will see my guest today. And it's going to be fantastic. Please make sure you grab your coffee, sit down, listen to all these stories. They are pure, authentic life story. Join me to welcome my guest today. Like I said, his name, all the way from Japan, just to be precise. His name is Emmanuel Dansu, fondly called EJD. EJD is one of those famous guys. Should I call it Gen Z or should I call him the new it's in between, like every one of us. And you will love what his story is all about. He was born in Ajara, Veto, Badagry, Lagos State, Nigeria. He hold a PhD degree in computer and mathematical sciences from Tohoku University, Seda, Japan. He was the valedictorian of the World 2020 graduate of the University Graduate School of Information Sciences. He's currently an assistant professor at the Ecological Integration Laboratory Graduate School of Life Sciences. You'll be wondering why somebody studying mathematics in ecology. He will tell you the story. Don't worry, just stay calm. Tohoku University in Seda, Japan. His research interests lie in mathematical and machine learning modeling of population dynamics in biological and social systems. Overall, EJD is passionate about helping young people use their past failure and successes as fuel for ultimate excellence. Without much ado, I would like to welcome to this podcast today, EJD, to this platform. EJD, you are welcome.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I'm so glad to be the opener of this podcast.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes, sir.
So, EJD, how come EJD?
Yeah,
From
that's
where?
just my name's pieced together. Emmanuel Jason Dansu, EJD.
Oh, good.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, tell us the origin story. What sparked your intellectual or your career journey before we move on to turning points and some other areas you want us to know.
Okay. Yes, like you said, like you read, right? I was born in Badagry in Lagos State, Nigeria. And I interestingly from age 5, I started living with my uncle. And in fact, my academic story started. I can basically say that my academic story started with him, because when I started living with him when I was only 5 years old, he enrolled me in a school called Imolia Nursery and Primary School. You know what we used to call Jelly Osimi back in those days. So that was the kind of school. But then the proprietor, Mr. Shegun, sadly he's deceased now. He was this person who he was really strict, and he really his strong point was mathematics. So I mean, combining strictness with mathematics is always a a big bomb, right? So then he would give you very it will give you mathematical sums ahead of your grade, and you had to do well. So at first it was such a challenge. Like everybody, in fact, if you offend at someone, they just tell you we are reporting you to Oga Shegun. Just know you're interested. Oh, interesting. Your name is Shegun. Can you imagine? So, so if you are threatened that will be reported to him, just know that. I mean, everybody just shapes up. So I think my journey started with that kind of strict person, and by the time I finally, so it since it was not a full-fledged nursery and primary school, it was just like a nursery school. So after, I think I was there for 2 years, and then I got into local, I like to say this part, local authority primary school, Ajara Iluda Badagry. So I know in many circles, local authority schools are butts of jokes like, oh, did you attend Egbeliwa High School or,
LA. We
or
call it
all those kind
LA.
of. So yes, I basically attended early local authority primary school like that, and but because of the background I had, so actually I got in there, having done things way ahead of my time. So in early it was so
Smooth
all
ride.
the suffer yeah, all the suffering I had before then began to make sense, and I can basically say that was how. Interestingly, after when I got into early, so I continued attending evening classes within that school, because it was a nursery school in the morning, and then in the evening they had these evening classes. So I attended the evening classes till I got to primary six, and it was such a very nice experience, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, I remember my primary school days too, it was all evening schools.
Right.
In my own days too. So I was
Interesting.
I was attending and we have this brother then, Mr. Ronchi. So Ibukunlu Nursery and Primary School. He started
Interesting. Mhm.
Ibukunlu Nursery and Primary School. And
Wow.
during that time we were like it's just the normal lesson. And
Mm-hmm.
along the line, he turned the normal lesson to he just get acquire one uncompleted building and
Mm-hmm.
he turned into and he renovated the place, turned into nursery and
Interesting.
primary school. And
Wow.
some of us that were carrying the normally carrying the chair, we are nursery we graduated to nursery and primary school. Although we
Interesting.
go to nursery and primary school in the morning, we go to our
Mhm.
normal school in the evening. So that's
Wow.
how we do it then. And
Mm-hmm.
it was so superb and we enjoy it, at that
Mm-hmm.
point we just enjoy everything all the
Yeah.
moment. So and
Mm-hmm.
it was quite interesting and yeah, it's quite interesting. That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So what's exactly the so from then from your primary school education, so
Mm-hmm.
how come what motivated you to study what you studied? How do you have you experienced any other things? Do
Okay.
you feel yes.
So, I mean, I can basically say that my story started out with mathematics because I was taught by a math enthusiast. So he was teaching us other things, but maths was like his strong point. So when I got into LA school, Ajara, I also had excellent maths teachers. If I had Ghanaian teachers, they were really common in Nigeria back in those days, like in the early 90s, like that, late 80s, early 90s. So I had a Ghanaian teacher, Mr. J.K. Godo, and then I also had another excellent maths teacher, Mr. Sagbo. And these people were so good that it was more like I always had excellent maths teachers. I think that's the summary of the whole story. And but then I got into after local authority primary school, Ajara, I went to Badagry Grammar School. I think yeah, that's the first primary secondary school in Badagry, by the way. By the then so it was facilitated by the then Akran of Badagry. Oba Sidi Akran, Aholu Sidi Akran, that's what we call it in our language. And Interestingly, he was like a right-hand man to Obafemi Awolowo. They were like running the Western region together. So he really, opened up Badagry to a lot of education and many things that we enjoy in Badagry today. He started out so many of those things. So I got to Badagry Grammar School. Again, I had very excellent teachers. And chief of them was Mr. Benson Amorua. Like he was this person who made us so for every topic he taught you, you would get a small notebook, all these 2A notebooks, and you solve every single question on that topic. Like he taught you probability, you take all the past questions from 1988 to, we had this book then that contained all the past questions from 1988 to say that we're in SS3 like 2001. So from 1988 to year 2000, you solve every objective question, every theory question on every topic he taught you. So, so that was the kind of thing. But then by the time I was leaving, of course, back in secondary school, if you told somebody you're going to study maths, it was like, oh, do you want to become a teacher? But in hindsight, now we see that as a mathematician, you can become anything you like to become. I know personal friends who are now some of them are chartered financial analysts. Having studied maths. I know. I mean, the former vice chancellor of University of Lagos, Professor Oyewusi Bidakwa, he studied maths first degree and became a civil engineer at the end of the day. So we have several examples like that. But back then, it felt like, oh, if you study maths, maybe you're going to become a teacher. So because of that, I couldn't say I was going to study maths. So by the time I was leaving secondary school, I liked three major subjects. I liked mathematics, I liked physics, and French language. So somebody who likes all this, which course would you recommend for the person? So basically, you just pick the maths and physics and go for engineering, and that was exactly what I did. But thankfully, I did not go straight to the university. So I ended up doing a diploma in marine engineering at Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology, Victoria Island. But if I can rewind and go back with that combination, I'll just go to the US and study maths and French double major. Easy. So, uh,
That's
so
good.
exactly. So having left Badagry Grammar School, thinking of engineering. So by the time I did diploma in engineering, I was like, fine. I was getting the grades, but I wasn't really enjoying myself. That was why I was finally directed back to maths, and finally I ended up studying industrial mathematics in FUTA, and that's one of the best decisions I ever made. So
Mm.
that's how I ended up studying maths. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's a very great point you just raised. Okay, now
Mm.
tell me. I remember when you mentioned those that study mathematics. You know the current pope now
He's a
is a
mathematician. Yeah.
mathematician. So
Yeah.
definitely, there are some things, the Gen Z in the house, I believe you can
Mhm.
learn something.
Yes.
It is not all about title. It is not all about the degree. It is all about life after
Mhm.
degree that matters. You
Yes.
need to know what exactly do you good at. Where, like I told you in the introduction, I know this is a point whereby you need to have your identity. You need to who really you are. Don't
Hmm.
follow the peer pressure. Don't
Mm.
let the peer pressure put you in a corner whereby you will not be able to shift.
Mm.
Right. These are the things we're telling the generation that we are in right now. So now, let me just throw this question to you. Yes, because you mentioned everything was going smooth, smooth. Tell us the turning point, the crucial decision you've made, the mistakes, the detours that you faced in life. Please tell us more about
Okay, I mean, okay. If it sounds like my story is very smooth, that's not true, by the way. I
that.
wrote jump. I wrote jump 5 times. Okay, jump is joint admission matriculation board, and they have exams like back in our days. They had a university matriculation exam, so you had to go through jump to write the university matriculation exam to get into the university. So I started writing the UME university matriculation exam starting from SS2, and I kept writing. Okay, I mean, I think the deal then was okay. I remember I wrote the first one I wrote, I got 219. Maybe that was not good enough. I couldn't get in. Second one, due to some center issues, I got 194. So while waiting at home, some of my friends were already in the university and everything. And then I mean, to think that I was the best students in my secondary school, and then other people were already getting in. Of course, I know poverty was part of the issues because, of course, even if you cannot go straight, some people maybe had gone in for diploma. You go for diploma 2 years, and by the third year you are in 200 level and all that. But for me, I mean, no money. So it was so serious that, uh, I mean, one of the biggest, okay, I know you are going to ask me a question about fears. I don't know if I should jump the gun now. One of my biggest fear was, hey, would I ever go to the university because of these challenges? So I got 1-9 for second jump. So by the third jump, I was already no, by the third jump, I was still in Badagry. So that was the jump the UME I really prepared for. I did everything I read because normally I was not this serious person. I just needed to put little effort and I would just get some excellent results. So, but that third one, I really prepared and I got to 62. Only, but so by the time the result was out, I was already studying for a national diploma in marine engineering in Victoria Island. So I remember that day I went to the JAMB office in Ikoyi, and okay, then you could print your results. So I printed my results, but somehow I was supposed to go to the University of Lagos to study bachelor's in marine engineering, bachelor of engineering in marine engineering, and somehow I was told my name was not found on the list. So immediately I went straight to the Ikoyi office of JAMB and I showed them this is a slip I printed out from the internet. How come my name is not on the list? Meaning that my results was it was more like I did not write the exam. So when I got there, I was like, so they just told me the result was written. I was like, why? I did not participate in any kind form of cheating or anything like that. So I mean, that was such a devastating time. That was the only jam I really prepared for. But the other ones I just strolled into the exam hall. So that was my third one. The fourth one I got to 40. So I got to 19 again. You remember the first one I got to 19.
To
Then
19.
fifth, so to 19, I did not. All the while I was applying for either marine engineering or electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. Those were the things I was applying for. So fourth one again, I got to 19, like I said. Then finally I wrote the fifth one where I got 249. So that was the first time I ever applied for mathematics. And the first time I applied for maths, I got admitted into Federal University of Technology, Akure. Of course, because I had done diploma in marine engineering, I also took a direct entry form, meaning that I paid money to JAM 6 different times. So it was like, I mean, I hardly met people who had written as many, who had bought JAM forms as many times. So it used to be a bragging point for me at some point.
But
So
now
it
tell me,
wasn't easy.
now with what is going on
Yes.
in our days now, you can
Mm-hmm.
see people killing themselves, committing suicide because of
Right.
the failed one exam or the other. We
Mm.
had a story of the person that it's one of the students because
Right.
it's issued in jam, killing
Mm-hmm.
herself or himself. I can't remember whether male or
A
female.
lady, a young girl, yes.
Is a young girl. You see,
Yes.
why why is it difficult for this generation to be able to manage that area? Because I know a friend, I will still bring him to this platform, to the podcast
Mm-hmm.
very soon. I know he told me some story then, how he failed by for for many times
Mm-hmm.
before he could get a single result. And I
Right.
remember myself, during our own, we did UTME, we did it was jam. We're doing jam,
Yes.
or we are doing poly jam, university
Right.
jam.
Mm.
I did university jam twice. I did
Wow.
poly jam once.
PC, yes.
PC then. So
Yeah.
then when I failed, I met one of my uncle and I said, "Sir, this is what happened." He said, "You know what? You need to do it again."
Yeah.
I said, "Are you kidding me? Can't you use your influence to give me admission here?" He said,
Imagine.
"You just have to go back." He just called his secretary then, go to
Mm-hmm.
bank, withdraw money for me. This guy needs to go back home and go and write another exam.
Imagine.
That was one of the devastated points
I
in
can
my life.
imagine.
Then
Yeah.
that I thought,
Mm.
but until
Imagine.
but now today, I'm thanking God because he rejected my offer and I'm here today.
Mhm.
So let's move on. So, meaning you failed 5 times, 4 times. You
Mhm.
did
No, yeah,
you did
exactly.
jump 5 times. Wow.
I wasted my money 5 times with a direct entry form too. So,
Okay. Well, anyway,
yeah, I get the gist though. Yeah.
now, so the what is an so the question now is the crucial decision, the
hmm
mistakes.
Okay. I don't want that thought you started raising. I don't want it to slide by because I think it's very important. Like these days, it's harder for people to understand that failure is an integral part of life. There's no success story without, I mean, one success story that you see is backed up by several failures. And while it's easy for people to blame Gen Z that they are not strong, they are not this, now the question is who raised them? It is still so I'm almost like I have a particular I love Gen Z a lot. And I'm not Gen Z by the way, I'm millennial. I mean close to maybe somewhere in between, just like you said for sure. So Gen Z did not raise themselves. Our generation and the generation before us raised Gen Z. So how did we raise them? Part of the trouble is you hear people saying things like, "Oh, I suffered a lot, and my children must not smell anything close to what I've suffered." That is correct. I mean, my children, there's no way my children will go through the kind of things I went through again. But there's still the place of making them understand that, say, okay, that your uncle that told you, oh, you failed jam, go and write it again. These days, it is maybe some parents that will even go and influence it and make so they don't
Sure, you are
they
right.
sh- so we shield our kids so millennials and our father our own parents, they shield some of these children from hardship.
Mm.
I remember back then we used to walk to school freely, of course, maybe because of insecurity and all that these days, but there are parts we need to play. We need to allow these people make their own mistakes and fail. So if you have shielded them always, if they encounter one failure, they are going to have issues. Today you have parents following their children everywhere. They don't allow their children to. I mean, just allow them take public transport and learn some lessons on their own. Like, let them have some difficult times and figure things out themselves. So I think, I mean, it's very easy to blame Gen Z, but the question is who raised them. So we should look back at who raised them, and that's also a call on us. So in our generation, we are going to raise Gen Alpha. Some of us are raising Gen Z, and some of us will be raising Gen Alpha. So the onus lies on us to make sure we don't raise chicken-hearted and lily-livered children. Very important. Of course, they cannot experience the kind of hardship we experienced, but there are still basic lessons of life they need to learn. That knowing that failure is part of life. If you get something wrong, you should be better next time. Then don't let like it's a vital lesson they should learn that will also help them. And one thing I've learned about in academia generally is the idea of resilience. I mean, if you're an academic person and you're still standing, you have heard a lot of no. Like you apply for, I mean, I tell people I've made conservatively 500 attempts at getting a scholarship abroad, and I only finally I only one attempt worked. So all these ones, there were times I was almost like depressed. Like you have applied everywhere, you've done this, you've done that. I wrote IELTS, I got 311. I wrote IELTS, I got 7/9. I wrote GRE, I got 311/340. But then I couldn't get into the US. I mean, because there's a school that was ready to take me, but I wouldn't have funding because of 3 points. So things like that at the end of the day. But because I mean, I've seen that the failure is what even makes your story very sweet. It makes you to be able to help other people. So I think resilience is the key word I've seen in academia. Like you can bounce back when you fall. You can when you are rejected, you can go again. By the time I wrote the application that took me to Japan, I already downloaded that form for Germany because I was so used to rejection that, oh, okay, we are sorry to inform you that although you put up an excellent application, we couldn't take you this time. So I already had that form ready that, okay, if this one doesn't work, I'm going for that in Germany. But finally it worked. So it wasn't easy to get to that point. So at first you feel bad, but later we know that failure is an integral part of life.
Failure
Basic.
is an integral part of life. Gen
Yeah.
Z, Gen Alpha, I hope you are hearing
And
from
their parents, especially.
and their parents.
Yeah.
Yes, parents, 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 parents. It is
hmm
a call to all of us to know that
Right.
failure is part of integral.
hmm
I remember, that's I always what you just said. I always laugh because some of us, our parents don't even know our secondary school or high school.
Yes.
Some of
Yes,
us don't even know. Some of us, our parents don't know our university, our polytechnic, our college of education.
exactly.
They
Yes,
don't know.
that's it.
And here we have today the degree,
Mm-hmm.
the whatever we are carrying on, and we are
Yes.
still surviving. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. That's why parents also has a lot to do, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
roles to play when it
Yes.
comes to the next generation we are talking about.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a profound. And now, can we call that one a turning point?
Okay, yeah. I mean, well, I think from all I've said so far, the turning point for me would be, coming full circle and realizing that, guy, you're not supposed to study engineering. Maths is your path. So I wrote five jams and I chose of all the five jams, the first four times I was choosing electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, marine engineering, and all that. But finally, by the time I now wrote the fifth jam, that was the first time I chose maths. That was the first time I got admitted. And that is why I say, in hindsight, right, if I was going back to secondary school and I'll have to write JAMB again, or I had opportunity of traveling abroad, I'll just go straight, apply straight to study mathematics and French, and I'll be so cool.
I'll shock you with this.
Mm-hmm.
I, in my old days,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be uh, a medical doctor.
Okay.
That's what I always liked to be.
Mm.
Why? Because I love to save life.
Right.
And that is one of the things that we are doing right now because we are trying to save a
Exactly.
particular life in
Yes.
generations to come.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's one of my passion and that's what keep me going. And
Right.
it got to a point when during the admission, then they gave us we applied. I had a roommate then, and the guy said, we are just talking, and I mentioned, oh, I would like to do that. Is why your decision in life matters.
Mm.
You
Right.
have to don't follow the crowd. You have to know who you are,
Right.
identify yourself on time.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, the guy said, because I mentioned I would like to, I'm going for medicine. He would
Mm-hmm.
love if we can be studying together and staying together. So we started. When they gave us course form to fill,
Mm-hmm.
then after I've tried JAM, that did not
Right.
work, I went for pre-degree in Lautech.
Right.
So I
Mm-hmm.
started with pre-degree. Immediately we finished, then they gave us a course form, and I look at it. I called my name. I said, Shegun, you want to save life? I said, yes. I just put animal science, animal
Wow.
production and
Interesting.
health,
Interesting.
and food science and engineering.
Wow. So what happened to the medicine?
Because the reality dawned on me. The
Okay.
number one, I the poverty you mentioned,
Right.
when it happens to you, you don't have I have to be paying my tuition. Thank God
Yourself, right?
for people that
Yes.
God helped that used for me then to pay instrumental. I was
Wow.
able, it was a tough background.
Seriously, I can imagine.
And because I have a mission, I have a
Mhm.
purpose to
Yes.
fulfill. I said, no, I will get to this place. I don't
Mhm.
mind where I'm going. I don't know, but I know that I will get to meaningful
Right.
place.
Hmm.
So the score came out. I met the normal cutoff,
Okay.
but the cutoff is there. But by cutoff, I can't go for medicine. I did not even pick medicine from day
Yeah,
one
it was out already. Right.
because I know that with my test score, before I could write the test, then the stress
Hmm.
that I went through would not allow me to be able to. So
Right.
I came back, I put the name Animal Production and Health, Food Science and Engineering. My roommate asked me, "What did you want to study now?" I just showed him. He said, "Ha, the guy lambasted me. You must be silly. You are
Imagine.
not focused. You are." I just do like this. I said, "Okay,
Wow.
thank you guys." At the end of the day, when my name came out, I just found my name in mathematics.
Wow. I mean, far cry.
I asked the person to check again.
How?
They said because I picked something related to engineering, that's why they put me in mathematics.
Can you
And
imagine?
I said, okay. But what
Hmm.
happened to food science, animal science and production? They said that one, a lot of people are there already. So that's why I think food
Imagine.
science and engineering were the first, and animal science is second.
Second.
So that's why they put me something related. I said, okay.
Hmm.
When I got to the place,
Mm-hmm.
I looked for someone,
Hmm.
Professor Kayode at the Binku.
Wow.
I
Oh,
asked
okay.
him,
Interesting.
I just asked him, he was my senior. I
Big
said, sir,
mentor.
please tell me, how do I save life in mathematics?
Mathematics.
That was my question because, remember that was what is already here.
Mm-hmm.
And the professor told me, he said, there are many ways to save life. He said, we have different type of mathematics. We have
Mm.
applied mathematics. We have pure mathematics. We have
Right.
industrial mathematics. We have
Mhm.
mathematics statistics. We have statistics. He mentioned a lot. He said,
Wow.
but if you want to save life, there is one mathematics that is very close, which is
Mm-hmm.
mathematical modeling, which is in
Easy.
applied. I said,
Right.
okay.
Mhm.
And I picked interest. That was how the journey started from. Okay,
Easy.
the show is for you. Let's move
Yeah,
on.
that's okay. I'm
So,
equally enjoying the conversation.
aha, thank you so much. So, what you wish you knew? What you
Okay.
wish you
I,
knew?
I I think I've implied it from the beginning. I mean, I think I've repeated it like twice now.
Yes.
Knowing that studying maths does not mean that I have to be a teacher. Interestingly, I discovered later on that whatever I had studied, I will still be a teacher. If I studied medicine, I'll be a medicine professor. So I'm a teacher because I want to be a teacher, not because I studied maths. So I
Mhm.
mean, just like I said, and you have also given several examples. I have people I know one on one. Somebody is a chartered financial analyst, a mathematician. The current Pope is a mathematician. The current MD of Access Bank is a mathematician. The newly elected president of Romania is a mathematician. The former prime minister of Singapore, a mathematician, and you have several examples like that. So, so if and one thing I've seen about maths is that if you study maths, you can almost go anywhere you want to go. Yes, and
It's
end up
just a
going.
blank check.
Yes, I see that, but I see on social media people say tell you things like, oh, once they tell you that once you study a particular course, you go anywhere that they have scammed you, and I just laugh. Not maths, like with mathematics, you can go where I've seen people who did maths and then they have ended up in maybe some arts thing or especially tech, right? So from maths to tech. In fact, do you even know the funny thing? What I do sometimes, if I see somebody who wants to, they are so desperate to study computer science by all means, I'm like, hey, for leave computer science, go and study maths, then go and learn the computer science yourself. Okay, today I have a YouTube channel, and I in recent times I've been making videos on so I started with data analysis with Python, then from there I went to SQL with Python, and now I'm doing data science like that. I did not study computer science in the university. In fact, I just got interested in data related things about 3 years ago when I returned to Japan in December 2022. That was when I actively started doing data stuff. And because of the maths background, you can quickly figure things out. Because, of course, the whole idea of maths is based on the whole idea of computer science, programming, coding. It's all about matrices at the end of the day, vectors and matrices, simply. So that idea just keeps me, so it's easy for me to just quickly figure out, oh, this is what this is, and all that. In fact, some things I know when I just start teaching it because of the
I
basic
got
foundation I've had in mathematics. Yes. So for
you.
me, what I wish I had known earlier was that you don't have to be a teacher because you studied maths. With maths, you can truly, truly do anything you want to do at the end of the day.
Thank you. With
Yes.
math, you can do. anything you want to do. We have people in pharmaceutical company now. We have a
Yes,
lot of them. And
exactly.
as a matter of fact, they've approved that drug development now should
Mm-hmm.
pass through the mathematical modeling.
Can you just imagine
Use
that?
mathematical modeling because it's safe, it's safer, cost effective, and so
Yeah,
many things are involved.
exactly.
So
Somebody who just studied pharmacy will not be able to handle that for sure.
of course they are
Mhm.
there. They
Yeah.
study pharmacies, ordinary differential equation. When they show them, some of them
Hmm.
will be like, "What are they doing here?" And
Imagine.
it's not their
Exactly.
fault because the background is different. And as a
Exactly.
mathematician, when you see the white hairs, you are happy. Oh, what a
Exactly.
lovely differentiation! You are happy to do that.
Hmm.
Same thing
So
happens.
with your maths, all you need is the domain knowledge. Okay, I have my maths. Okay, you're a policeman. Tell me, what do you do there? Then once I understand what you're doing, I bring in my maths and it's
We can
another
use
story.
it to solve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is it.
Hmm.
So thank you so much. I'm enjoying this podcast and it's making more sense. And I believe the Gen Z in the house will also put their comment. Put your comment section, ask question. Anything you think you want to hear, or anything you things that are not clear to you, please put it on the comment section. We will look into that and we'll get back to you. This is the Quest podcast. Now, without wasting much of time, I would like you to tell us life beyond title and journals. Life
Okay.
beyond title and journals.
I mean, the academics are known for, being professor or this or that, or director of this center or that center, or, publishing always in journals, definitely. But of course, we have a life, right? We have a we have a life outside of mathematics. I mean, one thing I like to correct as a mathematician is that, for me, I grew up hearing that mathematicians don't have a life. I know you must have heard that before, like maybe they don't have time to brush their teeth or comb their hair. And sincerely, we know some mathematicians like that back in the days too. So I mean, for me, I'm like, why? Because I'm a mathematician, why should I why should I be out of my mind? So I feel that maybe some people just take some things too far, really. That's what I think. Because I mean, being a mathematician, you should even be more prim and proper as a mathematician because math teach you. I mean, one of the areas of math I particularly like is optimization, making the most out of every situation. So for me, I feel that in fact, math helps me to live a better life, right? For instance, I give a very classic example, which is funny to some people. So sometimes, they tell us every day that you should brush your teeth in the morning and in the night. And I'm like, okay, fine. I did that at some point. But later I discovered, okay, why should I do that? So I just looked at it that, okay, if I mean, as a general rule, right? If you have anybody has that tooth problem, you can never enjoy your life. That's one thing. Like I once had a toothache during NYSC in Katsina State, and I couldn't wait for day to break, and I ran to the hospital to extract one tooth. So I mean, what I tell people majorly is, so if you have not been paying attention to your teeth, the first thing you want to do now, go to the dentist, do scaling and polishing, and after that, before you sleep at night, just brush your teeth, and you don't need to do more than that. Like brush your teeth at night, and next night again, you don't need to worry in the morning because it's so for me. I just found that optimal way. Like once I brush my teeth before I go to bed, I'm good to go. Number one, you are preventing all the germs from developing while you sleep. Because of that, in the morning, it's not necessary for you to brush your teeth anymore. I know this may sound strange to some people, but I've been doing that for like 2 years now, and I mean, you can ask people I relate with. Maybe my teeth ooze around it, around them or not. So I think that's one thing maths has really helped me to do, really. Yeah, so
Mm.
so it matters. So sometimes I'm able to think of, okay, what's the best way? I'm in a room and they are making decisions and they are just discussing. Somebody, this one, A will say it, B will say another thing, and like I'm just sitting there like all this the story you are talking. This is the answer. Like why you? But some people just like plenty stories. So by the time I just make my contribution and they're like, oh, okay, but all the while I had known, like I've looked at the whole situation. Of course, it's not like I have answer to every problem for sure. But most of the times, when people are just telling stories, me, I've gone to the root of the matter, and I'm like, okay, instead of stressing yourself, this is if you can take care of this foundational thing, you are good to go. And that is why, when people complain about studying maths and maths is that it's not about the equations they are even solving, it's about the fact that your brain is trying to create pathways to solve different problems. And that's even more important than solving the y dx or anything like that. So for me, maths, studying maths has actually made me live a better life instead of making me a weirdo. So that's what I see there.
Wow. Wow. Study maths has make you who you are.
Hmm.
And that is the way to go. That's why you need to believe in yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you. We can't thank you enough. But on the last note, we have some few questions, and
Right.
from there we wrap up. It says, can you tell us one thing you wish Gen Z knew about success?
Hmm.
One thing you think Gen Z should know about success?
Yes. I think I'll just go back to the idea of resilience I said the other time that success is an accumulation of many failures. If you can see it that way, failure will not make you go overboard. It will not make you, want to, end your life or anything like that. Success is an accumulation of many failures, basically. So you see somebody shining and you just like their status. You see somebody is a professor in university in Alabama University. And you don't know the stories that have gone into making that person. So I think everybody should be more interested in knowing what is the story, how did this person get to that place. Just like every rich man, right? You've heard the story about $10 and all these people, how they almost wanted to end life at some point, but because they were faced with significant challenges, and but because they decided, yes, when I think there's this Yoruba proverb. I want to try to say it in English that if your horse stops, if something happens to the horse and it's not moving, then you try to ride it again, something like that. So, in essence, success is an accumulation of several failures. I think that this is the first time I'm saying this in this particular word. So, for me, it's a revelation. So I'll go and tweet it.
Now, is there any favorite book you read that shaped
Okay.
your journey?
Aha. I mean, one of the questions I really like to answer. So, I have a couple of books, or maybe I should say authors that have really, really influenced my life, especially in my formative years. Two of them majorly, Ben Carson and Miles Monroe. Ben Carson with books like Gifted Hands, The Big Picture, and all that. Then
Think
Miles
big.
Monroe, yes, Think Big, exactly. I was trying to remember that, but it didn't quickly come. Thank you for that. So those books really, and looking at Ben Carson's stories, it's not too different from our own stories, right? Like,
Exactly. That was
so
one of the things. We have some things in common.
exactly,
You know,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, reading about his life was like, wow, oh, this is a black guy. Of course, maybe you can even want to excuse yourself that he's in America, but it doesn't make it. Maybe some of us even probably had a better life than him. At least I know my father. You know your father too, I'm sure. But
Mhm.
that's his father just disappeared till tomorrow. So I mean, that must have been a very terrible time. So those books really helped. And when it comes to the to Miles Monroe, right? He was writing about things like potentials, understanding your, is it discovering your potential,
Discover your
understanding
potential,
your potential,
vision.
maximizing your potential. So those potential books were like very, and I remember one analogy he made I would never forget. He said that the grave is the place with the highest number of talents buried, books never
On
written,
top,
and
book
things
never written.
untapped.
Yes.
Exactly. So, those two people, of course, there are many other people that helped at other stages in life, but my formative years, of course, in addition to the Bible for obvious reasons, those are the authors that really helped me. I mean, of course, growing up later, I mean, discovering myself as a man, especially, family. Sometimes we don't also talk about family because we are in an academic atmosphere. And I believe that, after becoming the president of Harvard and you don't have a home to go to, what have you made? What's the big deal? So for me, so at that point, I now discovered people like Billy Connie talking about the dignity of manhood, then finishing strong, Steve Farrar. So
Mm.
there are not too many books written specifically for men, but Steve Farrar, almost all the books Steve Farrar writes, and I think Steve Farrar really writes for men. So I read his book, Overcoming Overload, Points Man, Tempered Steel. Finishing Strong is his
So,
most popular book. And because I've read these people so much, I mean, in the last 2 years, I've discovered because I started a group to mentor young men. So that actually opened up the writing side of me. So interestingly, my fifth book or so was just got published on Amazon. So I mean, that has really pushed me. So if I wrote a whole series, a three-part series of books on wisdom for young men, so all those things actually, so there can be another side to a mathematician or to an academic for sure.
yeah, that's interesting. Now,
Mhm.
one of the another thing is who believe in you when you didn't even believe in yourself. Who are those
Mm,
people?
okay. I don't know. It's a hard question because I mean, I've always, I don't know how to put this.
Consistent.
I've always shown in a way so that people are just like, oh, this guy is going very far. But I think I will always want to go back to my uncle that, he didn't have to take me in, right? I mean, okay, because I was born where he was living, he just felt this is my son, and he started me out on my school journey, and then, yeah, that's one person that I would say. Of course, the other person I would say maybe my wife. I'm trying to think. I know there are other people in between, but those are the two that come, my uncle, my wife, because when she agreed to marry me, there was no form. I was not I was not appealing per se like that, but she was able to see beyond that. So, and now we are living the dream together. Interestingly, she got inducted into the academia too.
That's good.
Yeah,
Congratulations to
thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Mrs. Okay. On the last note, what is the one question you are still trying to answer?
Mm,
Do
hmm.
you- What is
Wow.
that one question
You
you
know,
are still trying to
you are bringing
answer?
some philosophical questions.
Yes.
Hmm. One question I'm still trying to answer.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's very hard. I've not thought about this question before. One,
Uh-huh.
still trying to answer.
You remember you mentioned you said you don't have answer to all the questions.
Exactly, for sure.
Uh-huh.
For
So,
sure.
do you have one?
Yeah,
Uh,
I would have said things like maybe why are we here and things like, well, I mean, because of my belief in Jesus Christ, I mean, I've been able to figure out those. I mean, those are the very tricky questions, like why was I even born?
yeah.
Why am I going to? So, but I think I've been able to figure those out. So, the one question I'm still trying to answer is why can't I know? Why can't I know where I'm going? Like, why do I have to go through corner corner? Why can't I, like, when I went through my hard times, right? All those writing jam 5 times and all those things. I'm like, okay, at some point I was even like, why can't you just tell me, see, you're not going to get into university until 2005 after leaving secondary school around 2000 and 2001. So if you should have told me no admission until 2005, maybe I would just go and sleep and just chill. So when it is 2005, I will apply.
I will
But I've
apply
also
and I
discovered
will
that
get it.
the process is part of the journey. So maybe the only
Mm,
question is why can't I know? Okay, like right, I'm trying to make the next move of my life, right? And I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? But God already knows. So I think that maybe that I can say that as a question, like, why can't I know everything? Like, just tell me the plan of my life once. So I'll just know, okay, by this year, just go here, by that year. So I think that's one question. But I think if we
mm.
all figure it out, maybe I don't know, I don't know. But I
Wow.
think that'll be the question. I've never thought about this before.
Yes, it happens.
Hmm.
So many things. Anyway, we just want to we try at this point now. Thank you so much. Uh,
Thank you
Dr.
so much for the
Danso,
platform, sir.
thank you for this power for the this is the media edition, and we want to say a big
Mm.
thanks to you for your time, for your contribution, for you to be
Always my
able
pleasure.
to share your story. One of the things that
Hmm.
I can took out of this quest is failure is part of the integral of life.
Yes.
Failure is part of integral of life. And don't forget, success is accumulation
Of
of
many,
many
yes.
failures.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the takeaways that we need to do. So
Mm.
I invite all the listener to share their takeaway using the hashtag on this video, and try as much as possible to share it among the people of like mind. Let the
Mm.
Gen Z, let their parents also watch what is happening. I think it will go a long way. The call for action, to take action, is to follow, review the journey, the next,
Mm.
to join the next journey, and how do I move the next move
Mm.
of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have my degree. What next? Yes,
Right.
I have a job. What next?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm married. What next?
Right.
Yes, I do this. What next? How do I raise the Gen Alpha?
Mm-hmm.
Now with
Yeah.
Gen Z, how do Gen Z raise Gen Alpha? It
Right.
matters or
Mm.
Gen Beta, or so on, all the Gen and Gen and Gen and Gen. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you have just a one word just to advise the Gen Z in general before
Yeah, I
we
mean, for
drop the
the
curtain?
longest time, right? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry for jumping in. For the longest time, I've had this philosophy that guides me that no matter how bad things are, they
Okay.
can be worse. So if you think you're in a bad situation, it could be a worse situation. You think you are blind in one eye, you could be blind in both eyes. So that's a worse situation. And because of that thought, I'm always grateful for whatever wherever I find myself. So no matter how bad things are, they could be worse. Because of that, gratitude. I'm always grateful. Then the second side of that is that no matter how good things are, they could be better. I mean, an example I try to use is, so if you wrote an exam and you got 100 over 100, so next time, maybe that exam you wrote it in 2 hours. So next time you can actually get 100 over 100 and write the exam in 1 hour, 30 minutes. That's an improvement. So because of that, because the fact that no matter how good things are, they could be better, I'm always driven by excellence. So gratitude and excellence stemming out from the fact that things can be worse than what they currently are, and things can be better than what they currently are. So be always grateful and be always excellent.
Be always grateful, be always sex, and
Mm.
fight for the excellence.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Mhm.
is a good takeaway. Thank you so much
My
for coming
pleasure.
to the broadcast, the quest. Until we come to your view again on this channel, on this podcast, try stay tuned, subscribe, like, share the story among your peers. And the next episode, we are bringing another big. It's going to be a new thing, and every week
Yeah.
we'll be giving you
Love
a new
it.
thing. We'll
Yeah.
be inviting people that will share their real story, and
Mm.
from then we pick it up. Thank you.
Right.
So till we come to your view again, we say bye for now. I remain
Bye.
the host, Shegun. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.